Hi everyone, welcome to the Eat Allergy Safe podcast. My name is Nina and I'm your host. Before we get going with today's episode, I just want to let you know about my allergy coaching program, and you're going to be hearing more about that at the very end, so make sure you stay tuned. If you'd like some more information, check out the show notes and go to eatallergysafe.com/coaching.
Welcome to the Eat Allergy Safe podcast, where it's all about solving the challenges of living with allergies so you can be more confident and stay allergy safe. Here's your host. She's an adrenaline pen carrying grown-up allergy kid, Nina Modak.
Hello and welcome to the Eat Allergy Safe podcast. Today, I have another family on to talk about their journey with allergies and what they've done to overcome this challenge. But firstly, if you're new to the podcast, a very warm welcome. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. It's great to have you again. So today I have a mum and daughter duo, Mary Ann and Rebekha, who I met, actually my mum met over a year ago at the Allergy and Free From show in London. And then I got to talk to them this year and ask them all about their story and taste their delicious treats that they've got, which are top 14. And they're going to tell me today all about their story. So welcome, Mary Ann and Rebekha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so first up, do you want to introduce yourselves so the listeners know who you are?
Okay, so I'm Rebekha, and I've helped found the company along with my mother.
So I am Marianne, and yes, and we have been having quite a little bit of challenge since Lyora, Rebekha's daughter, has come along. So Rebekha and I, we have turned a problem into this business, really.
Amazing. So let's start with, where did your allergy journey start?
So it began with Lyora, my daughter, because she had multiple intolerances that showed themselves quite early on, from when she was born, from 4 months old, through breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. We established her dairy intolerance through eczema that she had on her cheeks and around her body. And a year later, we then established her peanut allergy, which was the big one, mm-hmm. Which she did get to hospital in time. Thankfully, she was with my mum and she dealt with it really well. And then we also had a gluten intolerance, which showed itself by affecting her respiratory system, which was unexpected, to say the least. And lastly, her egg intolerance, which again affects her eczema and also makes her cough. So it all began with my daughter and with the challenges that we had to face due to all of these intolerances and her peanut allergy, which was intense.
And is there a history of allergies in your family, or is this like completely out the blue?
I wouldn't say that there's a history. I myself don't have any allergies or intolerances, and neither does her father. Mm-hmm.
And no, it was totally out of the blue for us, Nina. Mm. And in fact, we didn't know anything about it. It's very strange that on the day, 2 days before she had the peanut allergy symptom with me, 2 days before, I had been talking at work with a colleague whose daughter has had a peanut allergy. Mm-hmm. And we were talking, I was curious about it. I thought, oh my gosh, how did she grow up having a peanut allergy as a child to keep herself safe? And that happened on a Friday. And on the Sunday, Lyora ate a little snack and that had peanut, and she started having the symptom. And it's purely because of that conversation I had on Friday that it came to my mind, oh, could that be an allergy to peanut? So it was really amazing. Yeah.
That's scarily coincidental, but kind of a godsend at the same time.
Definitely, yes.
So what happened? Because obviously you didn't expect Lyora to react to peanuts. Was it swelling or like a funny throat, or what happened next?
I was at the supermarket, and she had a brand of snacks that Rebekha always used to give to her. I can't remember.
No, I'd never given her that particular brand, but it was simple ingredients. It was like 3 ingredients, peanut being one of them, it looked like Wotsits, but it wasn't. It was from the World Food aisle. I do still see it. And
I was at the supermarket with her, and I just gave her the packet, and she opened it and she was eating it whilst I was going to the cashier to pay for the shopping. She just dropped the packet and she started just being unwell. Because Lyora is a very happy child, and if she behaves in a certain way, there's something very wrong. And I didn't have any water with me, so I rushed her back to home and gave her water. She drank the water, refused milk, which she would never ever refuse, refused milk, and then she started basically leaking through her mouth, her nose.
Oh, wow.
And then eventually her fingers started swelling, and she started having what do you call it? Those pimples, the
hives.
Yeah, she started having those hives. But it was the most amazing for me. It was the leaky of everything. Her eyes were running. Of course, she was poorly. Her nose, her mouth, she was dribbling. It was just one of those incredible things. So I rushed her to the hospital, and when we got there, I explained to them that I think she's reacting to peanuts, and they give her some Piriton, which helped with the itchy, because she was itching at the time. Eventually, when we saw the doctor, they said, yeah, definitely she has the doctor mentioned that was quite severe in terms of the symptom of the peanut. And it's just one of those things out of the blue, and you just need to be, you have to keep your head on your shoulders and not panic, really. It was crazy. It was crazy for me.
Yeah. And Rebekha, you went there. Marianne, how did you kind of, after that, come home and go, what happened next? Well,
the thing is that the doctor said to me, "Oh, are you the mom?" And I said, "No, I'm the grandmother." And he said, and she said to me, "Does the mother know?" I said, "No, because how do I tell Rebekha this?" So eventually, after everything was fine, after she was back to normal, and she wasn't itchy, and she was reacting, because she was totally limp and not responding at all to anything. When she was back to normal, then I spoke to Rebekha, and I said, everything is fine. I'm out, she's fine. And that's when I told her about it. So I don't know. It was on the phone that I spoke to her, so I don't know what the reaction was.
Rebekha, how did you react when you found out?
I think I'm quite thankful, actually, because I think she was in the best hands. I probably would have been the one that wasn't so thinking so clearly, because I would have been so emotionally invested, and of course I would have rushed her to the hospital and so forth. But I do think that my mum definitely dealt with it better than I probably would. I definitely would have panicked.
I think everybody panics. Like, having had a reaction, I panicked a little bit. I think everybody panics, because you don't expect it, you don't know what to do, and then you're like, which order do things go in, or should they go in?
Yeah, and that, if you do the wrong thing, it could potentially be, devastating in the long run. So I'm quite thankful that it happened with my mum, as horrible as that may sound. I'm glad we found out sooner rather than later. And now we can control it, and now we're so much more knowledgeable, because we could all be allergic or intolerant to something we just haven't been exposed to yet. So now I know what to look out for, and how to respond if it happens again, which is good. I didn't know anything about intolerances and allergies before my daughter came along, so but it's good to have the knowledge now.
Yeah. And how old was Lyora when this happened?
She had just turned 1, or was just turning 1. It was definitely around 1 year old. So she was quite young, and it was quite interesting because we actually ate a lot of peanuts throughout my pregnancy, and even just with my pregnancy. And then I think we just kind of stopped for a period of time. I remember honey roasted nuts. That was definitely my favorite thing. And then just out of the blue, it was quite surprising because of that. And then suddenly she she didn't be around. Well, she couldn't tolerate it. So it was quite interesting to see how it's ended up.
Yeah. And how has your life changed since?
It's changed drastically, actually. And I think a big part of the feeling of the awareness that it's changed drastically is because myself and my mother doesn't have any intolerances or allergies anyway, and so Lyora does. So we live both lives, if that makes sense. You know, with her, we don't have to read ingredients, and we don't have to be think so hard about where we want to eat or where we want to go, or you know who's got what in their pockets and so forth. But when life is around, everything we have to be very organized, and so it's about being prepared, spend a lot of time in the kitchen, whether it's business related or not. We do spend a lot of time in the kitchen if we want a day out. You have to have more than enough food because you may get caught in traffic and so forth. It's being prepared for social events where she is highly likely she'll be left out on multiple occasions. So it does affect us in a lot of ways. It affects Lyora too. There are many times where she is nearly in tears, or she has been in tears, because she's tired of being left out. And she often, she's a very good girl, but she has had the moments where she's stolen food because she knows if she asks, it will be a no. So instead which is very, very dangerous. It's only happened 2 or 3 times, but it only takes one time for it to go all wrong. So that's been quite scary. And it's about making sure that she can enjoy what she have enough that she doesn't feel the need to do that, really. So it's affected us socially, emotionally, physically, in every way you can think all day.
And like, how have you been teaching Lyora about her allergies and her intolerances?
So I have shown her child-friendly films and videos that are on the internet. We have a practice EpiPen kit, which is really, really helpful. So she can play with that with her teddy bears and stuff like that, which she absolutely loves. At first, I took it as a very negative thing, the fact that she couldn't have these things, and we kind of switched on its head and made her realize actually she's special. And a lot of the time she gets to do what we teach our children not to do, which is she doesn't have to share her things.
That is the best bit. I think allergy kids all know this. I'm like, I never want to share when I have something that I can definitely eat.
Yeah, she kind of fell in love with that quite quickly. In front of them and explain to them legitimately, no, I can't share this. This is only mine. This is all I have. So that's kind of what I leveraged on that for quite a while at first, and that really worked out quite well. Also, I taught her very young what she was intolerant to, and I remember we got a lot of people would react really surprised because she used to be 2, 3, and everyone would offer her things, and she'd say, "Is there gluten in there? Is there dairy in there?" And they would look at me like, "What, really?" And I would say, "Yeah, she has to know. It's so important that she knows, and she can raise the questions herself." So she already knows. I tried to make it fun as well. So as long as you have the time and energy to cook at home, help come up with recipes. She'll read ingredients. If she wants something, I'll tell her, "Okay, have a read. Let me know if you can have it." So we've tried to switch it and make it fun where we can.
Yeah,
that's it, really.
It's really nice to hear actually that you've had the experience of a 2, 3-year-old asking people about their allergens, because I often come across parents who are like, though 2, 3 is too young, their children won't be able to know. And I always say, like, no, they're not. They're always, you can get them talking about it, even if they don't really understand, just as long as they can repeat it and get into the practice, it will get into the subconscious. And then by the time they're a teenager, they won't even think about it anymore, that's where you want it, because you don't want to have to try and force a teenager to communicate their allergies. You want it to already be there as a habit.
I think you put that in a really good way, and I didn't even think about it like that. For me, I was just so scared. And you know what children are like. Children don't think. That's the amount of near misses we have had with peanuts is I can't really count even on one hand. You go to nursery and a child offers the other child a biscuit round the corner. They're constantly running about. I've come across all these things, and you're correct. As especially teenagers, I've done a lot of research, and there are often it's around the teenage years that the exposures can happen, because they that's when you start caring what people think, and you don't want to come across as different, and you're willing to take a little bit more risks. And I think, what you've said is very key. If it's something that's so normal to them, and it comes so basically innately at that age, it can potentially save their life, and it definitely raises the safety. So
absolutely.
yes, but I didn't think for a second about it being young. I just knew that she needed to know. And the more people that I worry, the better, really. I've made mistakes. I've actually, for example, I got her an ice pole with milk in it. Some of the labeling is very confusing. For example, in this one, I'm very used to it being bolded and or italic, and this one was bolded. It was large. It was capitals, but it wasn't bolded, and there was so much ingredients in it, and we was in such a rush. I missed it, and things happen. But had that have been peanuts, that could have been fatal, So I actually like the idea of, I'll check it, and I already teach her, you double check it, because mummy's human, and I can make mistakes. And vice versa. And obviously ingredients change as well, which is something which is so to keep in mind. As a company, we're aware of that as well. So I think it's good. The earlier that they can know, the better. I know at 2-3 years old, she didn't really understand why she couldn't have it, but she knew what she couldn't have. And that was what was important. And then the understanding came afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And how old is Leora now?
She's 6 now, so she definitely understands.
Yeah. I remember having a lovely conversation with her. We were comparing allergies at the allergy show while you were all... Yeah.
As horrible as it is that, you have allergies to compare, it's nice. I think at the beginning of this journey, we were all isolated, all of us. I certainly felt isolated. I didn't know anyone else who had to deal with this, had to make food and bring it to the nurseries and so forth. And I know Lyra felt isolated constantly. And one thing that's come with the business is she's constantly meeting other people who are just like her, and some of them are more limited than she is. And I think that will help her appreciate that, life could be worse. And it certainly helps me appreciate that we're really lucky, and it's nice to be able to relate to other people. And that's really, really nice. And that's something I remind her when she feels bad, that, she's not the only one, and we can find alternatives. There's always an alternative. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it's really nice that you're taking such a proactive and positive approach to, teaching her. And she, like, having met her, she's a very confident little kid, and just likes talking to people. And she was lovely. I had a great time having a chat with her while you were all busy packing down.
Most people do. She just takes charge. And she'll about her allergies and intolerances if you ask, which is good. She any moment in the spotlight is good for her. So.
Well, it's going to be great for her when she's a teenager as well.
Well, she'll probably utilize that moment of, this is really important. Everybody must listen and understand.
Absolutely. So I know you've mentioned a lot about your business, and now I want to talk about, like, how did your business come about?
So it basically, again, started with Lyora, but it was a case of the struggles that we were going through in terms of everyday life. So I remember feeling it. I'm probably missing a few other things out, but I really, really felt it because I was at university full time. She was maybe 2-3 years old. And she was in nursery full time, and they could not supply her with the food that she needed. At the time, I was lacking in knowledge and awareness and in how to adjust recipes. And, as a student, money was limited as well. And from shelves did become my friend, but they were limited because though free from doesn't mean it's free from all of the main allergens. And obviously Lyra has multiple, so there wasn't any bread at the time that she could eat on the stores. And to be fair, I wasn't necessarily happy with giving her products all the time that she could have, that were filled with tons of ingredients that didn't really, I went from, weaning her onto fresh vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and eating quite a clean diet. And it was really hard to then have to go to a shelf full of preservatives and just really long list. So I used to have to cook everything for her. And what would happen is, at her nursery, I would try my hardest to cook like for like, because I'd cook her something she liked, she would sit there and eat chips, or everyone else is eating sandwiches or biscuits. And it did to a stage she stopped eating. That was only for a week, but she did stop eating at nursery, which is so unlike her. And that's when I worked really, really hard to do like for like. It was exhausting because every day the menu changes. And of course I had uni work to do. So that's when I started thinking there has to be something else out there. And I know I'm not the only one. And how is everybody else coping? And at the same time, because my daughter couldn't have bread, she didn't actually have bread for over a year. That's when my mother came in. And
that's where I came in, and I started making bread for her. I had a small little bread maker that I had never used before, and I started making bread. At the time, we didn't know. I think we thought that she could still have butter. She still had butter. So I was making the bread. Was it gluten-free? I can't even remember. But definitely I was making it so that there was no peanuts. And then she started. So that's how it started, the first bread. I still remember how the expression on her face when she could have the bread. And then it was a matter of all the bread that I was making, I was only making bread for her. And that was it. She, up to today, her favorite is bread. She just could eat. She could eat bread anytime, anyhow. And that's where. So then, at the university, Rebekha, then there was this. Rebekha's friends started getting intrigued and interested about the bread that I make and the food that she makes. And I used to make a cherry bread that I used to give to friends as present as well, made from the glassy cherries. And everybody loved it. So it then led on to a competition that was happening at UEL, Rebekha.
Yeah, while I was at university, every year they exhibit a business competition for the students, pushing them. Yeah. And I saw the opportunity and we went for it, and it was hard work, but we did come first place, which was amazing. We got a £6,000 grant, and we got a hot desking space and a mentor for a year. And the university supported us highly, and we got nothing but good feedback from that event. It really pushed us, actually. I think if we hadn't have done the competition, we'd probably be a year behind, because it made us have to get all the foundation of the business ready for the business competition. And it was really enjoyable. It was hard work, but it was really, really enjoyable. And then from there, that's how the business basically grew. We started meeting people who needed the products, and it was just a case of trying to put together how we were going to implement it. Because this isn't a business like any other. We've got quite a lot of important values and constraints to keep to, especially because this is a health and safety issue. From our standpoint, we have to be very careful about the products that we make and how we get them to our customers.
Tell me now about how we decided about the 14 allergens. We just got fed up.
Yeah. So again, going back to the eating out or going to the shops and buying things for my daughter. It still happens to this day. You pick up a product you see I see free from gluten, free from dairy. I'm getting excited now. Lyura's face is lighting up. And then you turn it around and it's made in a factory with nuts, or cannot guarantee nut free. It's really devastating for somebody who reads ingredients every single day and has multiple intolerances. It has a long-term effect on you because it's constant. It's not one time a day, it's every other day. You see a new product, you get excited, and then there's always a no. Nope, sorry, no, can't have that, no. So it got to a point where we were like, why aren't there any ingredients that are free from all the allergens? I see one here, maybe two removed from here, maybe three here. And we thought, let's do what we wish existed. Let's make a company that's free from all the 14 main allergens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where we just like, you know what? When we first began, I think we were using eggs. I believe I was using eggs in my cupcakes because I hadn't established Lyora's egg intolerance yet. And we just decided, let's remove it all. Let's just run with the challenge. And the first products that we came up with were our bread and our cupcakes, and people loved it. They absolutely loved it. And so we thought, we do have something here. Especially if you don't tell them it's free from, they never know.
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true.
They never know. So we thought, you know what, this has to be a winner then for those who don't have the options, and who are limited. And still to this day, people are like, gluten-free. We're expecting it to be dry.
Yeah.
And then they eat and they're like, wow. they and still to this day. And I think, well, we've clearly come a long way. So that's how we were decided on the 14 allergen free concept. And just to raise social inclusion as well, because socially, children, or specifically children, but people with intolerances, even diseases such as the celiac disease and so forth, they are excluded a lot of the time. And if you don't prepare and you go certain places, you don't have options. You just have to go without. Yeah. I've been in situations where I've been stuck in traffic and I don't have any food, and there's no food for my daughter, which is why now I kind of pack 2 days worth of food for one day just in case. Or we go out so many times, people have got so excited knowing we're coming to visit. They've bought food and they've either forgotten. A great example is 2 of Lyora's birthdays. She was unable to eat her own cake, and both the cakes were made from a loved one. From a family member who had either forgotten, oh my gosh, they forgot that egg was in it. And they were so forgiving, and you could see it wasn't, they didn't mean to do it. And it was situations like this where we thought, you know what, if we could have just bought a cake, it was kind of like, okay, it's too late. I didn't make one in advance, so there's no cake for her birthday that she can have, which is, I just thought I can never let that happen again, ever. She has to have cakes. And so people, and there are actually 2 customers at this moment who have just ordered cakes for their children who are in the same boat. And we've met families where everyone in the family have their own intolerance, and they're all different intolerances. So they struggle to have the same meal together. We've met so many different stories, and they're all so motivating, and they all make us want to help them. And we all seem to be able to help most of them.
Yeah. And that's where we know that it's well worth it. It's well worth us doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. And your cakes are delicious. I know I tried a couple of them from the show, and it was great. I was sitting on the train and I was like, I can have a cake and a coffee for once. Because like you said, for me it's, you go to, I'm gluten intolerant, cow's milk intolerant, and allergic to nuts. So if I go to the free from aisle, and then you don't want things with huge amounts of sugar in, which I was really happy that your cakes weren't just sugar first and then cake later. It was it is true. It's like I even go around the allergy show and I'm like, I can't have that and I can't have that because that's got nuts in, and then this one's got nuts in, or it's got nut traces. And it's really nice when you've got something that is actually top 14 free and doesn't contain nuts, because so many of us have nut allergies and there's never anything that we can eat.
This is the thing, and you don't want to take the risk. And it's so easy to get into a situation where you think, oh, maybe, for example, made in a factory of nuts. You think people are crazy if they ever take the risk. But when you deal with this every single day, and you're maybe in a rushed, panicked mode, your child is hungry, you're not going to be home anytime soon, or something like that, you do have a moment where you're like, should I? And of course, it's easy to kick it, but you're human, This is why there are fatalities, because it's not always as clear cut and as easy as sometimes it may seem. It's when you have the multiple. So I'm glad you're able to sit down and have a cup of tea and enjoy the simple things. Again, I don't have any intolerances, so never even crosses my mind how such a simple pleasure to be able to sit down and have a cup of tea with a cake, and not have to worry about potentially feeling ill for the next few days.
I mean, I think as having been an adult for a long time now and just looked after myself, you just kind of go, well, I just won't have the cake, or I'll have something else. And I think it's, you appreciate what you can have, and then you just don't even think about what you can't. And that's definitely the thing that I think as you grow up and as you get to being a teenager, where things aren't as controlled as they are when you're a kid, you just go, nah, it's okay, it's fine, I don't mind. You just learn to enjoy company if you're out with friends, and it's usually the someone else who can have it that they feel bad rather than you feeling bad.
Well, it's nice that it's been able to be, you can send that feeling over instead of holding on to it yourself. But
it becomes a way of life, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It becomes your way of life.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And the good friends you have, they will check things, and the new friends you make, they'll get to know you and your allergy as you get to know them. And I think when you're a child, your allergy is at the forefront of everything. As an adult now, even though I do loads of allergy stuff, it's not the first thing that people learn about me. So it's like I've made some new friends recently, so it's teaching them about my allergy and how they need to manage it around me. Because I don't mind when people eat nuts around me. I grew up in a whole household that had nuts in it. It's just learning, how to communicate with people, telling them, okay, you need to wash your hands and you need to wash your mouth, and don't touch me because I don't want to get any peanut on me. Actually, I don't like people eating peanuts around me because I don't like the smell. But I'm not airborne allergic. So it's it's not really detrimental to me. But you just make it really normal and manage it in new situations, and all the things you learn as a kid is what you use when you're an adult.
Right. And like you said, it becomes the norm. I think that's what's important to remember. So that makes me feel better as a mother.
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to chat with Lyora. We had a great time.
That'd be great. I'll give her your number.
Yeah. So tell me about your products. You've grown the range a lot, because how long have you been in business now?
Wow. Well, we launched officially last year, although we launched officially last year in Olympia last year, which was crazy. Good. However, from winning this competition in 2015, as Rebekha said, we were forced into thinking about a business plan, thinking ahead, looking at our competitors, etc., etc. So we knew then, we had an idea of the business, and it's taken almost a year for us to get our suppliers ready. Because, as you know, we are dealing with allergens. We have to be very careful from source to distribution to us. We have to really filter our suppliers and make sure that they follow the same stringent standards that we have. So it's taken Rebekha, I think, a whole year to get our basic suppliers to be able to now provide bread and cupcakes, cakes and brownies, etc. We have a lot of recipes that we can't do yet, just because we don't have suppliers of these ingredients, of the ingredients. So in effect, I would consider ourselves, the business, to have been established since 2015, because you need these little steps to make it what it is today. Officially having the public, going out there and letting the public know about us, that was last year, July last year.
Oh, fantastic. And what is your range? Tell me what it ranges from, because you've mentioned bread and cupcakes, but I know you have more.
Right. So it started with bread and cupcakes and cakes as well. Now we have now gone around some snacks, like sugar-free snacks. We have a range of brownie bars and also protein bars. Interestingly enough, there is one product that has hit the crowd, which is, we call it our protein loaf, which doesn't have any flour, which is made out of quinoa. And I don't even know how I came up with the recipe, but that seems to have really, it's really an interest to the public. The public really likes it, and we have lots of regulars that come for that. More recently now on my range, so the way we divide it, so that because we couldn't do everything. Each one of us couldn't do everything. Rebekah looks after the sweetish range, the cakes and the cupcakes and the brownies, and I look after the bread. And now recently I'm making also rotis, flatbreads, because a lot of people where they can't eat such things, we're doing a wrap, for example, or having roti and curry because they have such allergies. Getting gluten-free product is easy enough. Gluten-free wrap. Getting gluten-free wrap where you don't have that little small print that says may contain nuts, etc. It's not very, very much on the market out there. So that's what we are doing as well now. But we are now also going into food. We go to the market. We sell at markets, and we've realized that people want something to eat just there and then. So now we're making curry. We're making curry potato, but that's just for the market. We are making curry quinoa with sun-dried tomato. So we are playing with the ingredients that we can have from our suppliers.
That sounds good. So where can people buy? Where can they come visit you?
Right. So we have our website, which has just been launched. So it's still in the making. We're just finishing our e-commerce where people can order online. So there is that. The main places that they can get us. We are every Wednesday. We are at Swiss Cottage Farmers Market, I should say. We are at Swiss Cottage Farmers Market. On every Saturday, we are at Parliament Hill Farmers Market, and every other Sunday. This coming Sunday being one of them, and then every other Sunday after that, we are at Walthamstow Farmers Market on a Sunday. So that's where people can come to see us face to face, pick up. They just come, they pick up, and some people will also order and collect from them. Otherwise, people can just phone us, email us, or when they see us, they just order. We are very flexible. We want to be as flexible as we can, keeping in mind that we are a business, because we understand that not everybody has the same needs. Not everybody can eat everything. So we do change, we do fluctuate to allow a customer to have something special if we can. In that sense, I would say we are a bit different because we're a small business. We can afford to do that within reason.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. And so what are your favorite products from your range?
My favorite, I haven't done it yet, Nina. It's the cherry bread. The cherry is a winner. We don't have a supplier. Anybody out there, if you supply cherries without any allergens on your distribution line, get in touch.
Preservatives. We want it fresh.
The cherry bread is my favorite, but otherwise, in terms of the cupcakes, it's the Free From Food Award gold winner that we had this year, which is a plain cupcake. That's everybody's favorite, I think, isn't it, Rebekah?
I do enjoy the cupcakes, but is really. I've been getting into the sourdough bread of recent. Actually, it's so good toasted. So good toasted.
I don't even know that because I'm in the bread all the time. I haven't even tried toasted sourdough bread.
Yeah. Lyura eats it. It's stocked up in my fridge, so I get to be our own customer.
Well, that's the best bit. When you run a bakery business, you can be your own customer.
You can, yeah.
Indeed.
It's really good. So I know it's good. It's good.
Yes.
It is. It's very nice.
Oh, brilliant. So my final question, because we're getting to the end of our time, is what are your 3 top tips for a parent who's new to allergies?
I think to start off with, it would be to surround yourself with other people that are going through something similar than yourself. So if you've got children, maybe if you can get in touch, I'd say maybe join support groups. For example, you can find them on social media, you can follow them on Twitter and so forth. And I think that's really helpful because these people are very vocal, and you can follow and see what the newest research and new products that are coming up, restaurants and everything is out there. It's really, really helpful. And you can air how you feel or any challenges you're going through, and people are really, really helpful. I think that would be number one. If you're new to it and you're not surrounded by family members and friends who know anything about it, it can be very isolating at first. So that would be number one. I think number two would be to try and have fun with it. Like I explained, kind of how I try to turn it around for Layora. Have fun with recipes. Go online now. I think this is definitely the best time to have any intolerances and allergies. It's definitely getting easier. It's not getting harder. So go online, research for recipes, ingredients, substitutions. There's so much out there now. I think that's definitely key. And I can't leave out medicine. Medicine is key. Make sure you do not just keep the medicine with you all the time. For example, if you have EpiPens or Piriton, just make sure that you never, ever, you could be going to the corner shop, make sure it's with you. It's just not worth it. And I know you said 3. I should probably replace 1 with always check the ingredients.
I can add it as a 4th.
Add the 4th. Always check the ingredients, and if in doubt, leave it out. That's the easiest way I can sum that up, because it's just not worth the risk. It will never ever be worth the risk.
Absolutely, that's so true. And I've realised actually that all throughout this episode, we've never said the name of your company, which is MyGammies, and I wanted to. I was like, how have I managed that? But yes, I wanted to ask, how did the name come about?
And I was just going to ask you whether I could explain that, actually, Nina. Thank you very much for bringing it up. So we have a lot of people asking, what is MyGammies? It doesn't mean anything to them. And funny enough, I was at Parliament Heat last time, and a guy approached me, and he got it. So I think you have to have a little bit of French in you, I guess. Well, Layora calls me Gammy. That's how she's called me from she was young. I don't even know how it came about. And Gammy is because I speak French and my background is coming from a French colony type. So Gammy is short for grand-mère, which is French for grandmother, and maybe Nani or Nana, which is English for grandmother. So it's a combination of both of them. And that's how she called me. The reason for MyGammies at the beginning when we started the business is we are actually selling the products that we do for Layora. That's what it is. So in effect, we are selling MyGammies. Layora is allowing others to get to buy MyGammies, her Gammies product.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's such a lovely story as well, because I think it's one of the things your grandmother, or as a child, your grandmother makes you things because she's looking after you, and you have a lot of time spent around food at your grandmother's house.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. And they go the extra mile.
Yeah.
We'll always go the extra mile for their grandchildren.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even got my Indian grandmother making gluten-free rotis with me.
There you go.
She was a bit confused on that one when I started. But we're getting there, and now she's getting quite into it. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And where can people find you online? So website, social media, so they can connect with you and start buying your products.
So our website is mygammies.com. And that's spelled MyGammies.com. That is the website. And on there, you'll have all our social media links. You'll have our phone numbers and our email. But if there is anything, if you just want to ask a question, the main email address is info @mygammies.com.
Otherwise, the social media that we currently have is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So you guys can follow us there and see what we're getting up to, and see all the new products that come out as and when they do.
Can I say something else,
Sure,
Nina, please?
Sure.
So we started, because there's a lot of information 6 years ago when Rebekha was looking for information about allergies and intolerances. There are a lot of information on the internet, and it can be overwhelming. So we started getting a book together, and part of the book is sharing stories of real people, of how they came about, especially with children. So if anybody has a lovely story they would like us to include in the book, get in touch.
About their experience and how they get through everything, and just to kind of raise awareness of what it's like.
Raise awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, feel free to dig through the podcast archives then.
Oh,
because there's about 60 of them.
To keep us busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Nina, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank your mum for us.
I will, definitely. Yeah, it was my mum's idea that they come on the show. So a year later, I got my actor round to it and got to meet them at the show this year. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks. And it's all that really encourages that we are in the right direction. So thank you for all our fans as well and our regulars.
Amazing. Well, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
So I think some of the things that they were saying was so right. You've got to have fun with food allergies. I know it's not what you necessarily expected nor what you wanted, but often we're left with them for life. We're going to have them, so we have to make the best. We have to make sure we're not missing out. We're just doing things differently. So, and also that Lyora is so cute, and she's got loads of allergies. I met her and her mum and grandma at the Allergy and Free From show, and we had a great time, Lyora and I. And I think the thing that God made us get on, because she was waiting for her family to pack up the stand at the Allergy and Free From show. And I was like, you know what? I have allergies too. So we were having a comparing our different allergies, and yes, we could die. But it was really fun, and it was nice. It's always nice, I think, as an allergy sufferer to talk to someone else who's got allergies. And one of the things that I did last year was do a little mini series about talking to allergy kids. I didn't know Lyora at this time, but it was all about talking to little kids, like 3 years old. I think the youngest I had on was all the way up through 10-year-olds. I had some 9-year-olds, and I know I also had teenagers, because how kids deal with them at different points in their life is always different. And then different kids deal with them differently, because every kid is different. But we can all learn from each other. And I think one of the things also is that as parents, it's good to listen to allergy kids, because they're going to have it their entire life, which means yes, we get anxious. Yes, we might get frustrated, but in the end, we don't let it rule us. But I also think it's really important that we learn that from parents who keep calm, who show their children that life is more than their allergies. Yeah, that there are times that it's going to be rubbish, but it's not going to stay that way. And I think also one of the things that made me stronger as a person was having a food allergy. And I know it continues to force me to be confident, to speak to people about something that I don't necessarily want to, and to practice that, because telling people about my allergies, and now actually, because of the whole PrEP case, restaurants are, for the first time in a very long time, I had a restaurant turn me away back in November and said the only thing they could feed me was salmon and salad. And I thought, well, this is rubbish. And I was also a bit miffed, very surprised, because it was the first time it ever happened since that I could remember. But you know what? It was good, because I'd rather they be honest rather than tell me they can cater for me and then not. If they can't cater or don't want to cater, that's okay. So in the end, my friends and I went to Nando's because they have a really good allergen policy. They started from the beginning. They always get the manager to take the order. They have a huge allergen book, and they have a little flag on your food that says allergen. So it takes a little bit longer to come. That's because they have more processes, and they've put in those processes from the very beginning to make sure allergy customers stay safe. So that's some of my views on that. So for some updates, as you know, I've been working on this guidebook for manufacturers. There are some talks potentially doing one for catering, restaurants, things like that, which sounds like it's needed as well. That's a bit more in the future, and the research has been fascinating. I have been reading so many academic papers about allergen thresholds, different options out there for allergen management in manufacturing. And there is so much information out there, and now it's all about distilling it by putting it all together. So the aim is to get all this academic information, white papers from companies who deal with, allergen testing, who, create manufacturing equipment, what's the best design, all these different processes that you never knew you'd even need to think about. We think about on a daily basis in our lives, in our home kitchen, dealing with allergens, but then when it's in manufacturing, you have to think about it on a much larger scale, because you're not just producing one, you're producing 100, 200, 1,000, maybe 1,000 products a day. So you're going to have strict cleaning protocols. You're going to have equipment that's easy to clean as well. So there's all of that. And then when do you test? Multiple testing through when a batch of product is being produced. So it's really fascinating. And I've got a number of you who have agreed to talk to me and tell me your views about what you think of free from products and free from labeling and all of that. So I'm really looking forward to those of you who have agreed to that. If you would like to be involved, but haven't been contacted by me yet or didn't know it was available, please do get in touch with me. Email me admin@eatallergysafe.com or go to the contact page on the eatallergysafe.com website and just email me and tell me your interest. Tell me what allergies you've got, intolerance to celiac disease, and just that you'd like to be involved, and I'll send you an email right back and get you booked in for a chat. So that's all about the work I've been doing recently. For updates on the blog, don't forget the eShop is open and has been for the last few weeks. I reopened it just before Christmas. If you're thinking about any gifts for anyone, if you've started thinking about Easter, don't forget that my recipe book, Chocolate Treats, Decadent Delights, free from the top 14 allergens. That's free from gluten, wheat, egg, nuts, peanuts, dairy, everything, is available on the shop for $19.99, and it's got over 30 recipes, all cakes, biscuits, cookies, desserts. It's got this amazing chocolate mousse and brownie recipe. They're really easy. I've written all the recipes so that they're easy to follow, quick to make. You've got a list at the back as well as some of my favourite ingredients. Make sure you check the labels for your allergens, because my allergens and my allergic reactions are not the same as yours. So make sure you always check. And that is available on the shop. I have a number of them at my home, which I can send out directly. I have also, if you are struggling or you just feel like you need a bit of holding hand, someone to support you while you find your feet in having allergies, by living with allergies, get in touch, because I offer one-on-one coaching, and these are bespoke to you. I can help you with whatever you need, whether that's just talking through how to talk to people, maybe that's at school, at work, maybe it's a loved one, it's dealing with family, maybe you're a parent and your child's just been diagnosed and you're not sure what to cook or how to food shop anymore. Don't worry, I can be there to help you and talk you through and show you that life is totally possible. So get in touch, go to eatallergysafe.com/contact and you can email me directly through there, or admin@eatallergysafe.com. And don't worry, everything is confidential. This is just to help you. It can be one-on-one, or it can be with you and your partner. It can be with you and your family. Whatever you need, I'm here. So thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to talking with you next week.
You have been listening to the Eat Allergy Safe podcast by Nina Moda. If you want to help other people with allergies discover this podcast, then please rate it in iTunes. It only takes a few seconds. Your rating could make the crucial difference in letting a fellow allergy sufferer find out that they're not alone and help is available. Thank you.